We'll begin here at 6:01, and I'll turn the time over to Bob.
Thank you, Vice Chair, members of the Commission. Good evening. The workshop this evening, we have one item on the before you, and this is for a change of zone. The village is at Wanapero. I would ask Russell Brady to review this, if this is the case that he's been processing through, and then he'll make the presentation, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that the Commission may have.
Thank you, Russell Brady, contract planner, presenting the project for workshop. Again, the village is at Junipero, consisting of plot plan 2014-189 and change zone 2014-190. The project site, just to clarify, since there were some questions between the public on the noticing exactly where the site is located, it is located north of the Heritage Square shopping center, not on top of what would have been the Heritage Square shopping center. So it is located southerly of Heritage Lake Drive, westerly of Menifee Road, easterly of Junipero, and northerly of McCall, but northerly of the Heritage Square shopping center as well. The site is designated as 8.1 to 14 dwelling units per acre residential on the city's general plan. Surrounding designations include 2.1 to 5 to the north, public facilities, the school to the west, commercial retail to the south, and the Menifee Valley Ranch specific plan to the east. The plot plan proposes an apartment project including 240 units within 24 two-story buildings with a total building square footage of 317,000 square feet and a 6,440 square foot leasing clubhouse building on approximately 19-acre site. A total of 564 parking spaces are also proposed, divided between dedicated attached garage parking and open parking stalls. There's also the change of zone, which proposes to change the zoning from one-family dwellings R1 to multiple family dwellings R2, which would be consistent with the general plan designation of 8 to 14 dwelling units per acre. Here showing the site plan, the layout of the 24 buildings across the site. Just to kind of highlight, since it's kind of hard to see on the black and white at this scale, the open or amenity areas within the apartment project, generally located in the center of the site and kind of in between the buildings. Here showing the landscape plan, just kind of get a better feel for how the site would look with all the landscaping on the site as well as the amenities. Just kind of go through some of the elevations. The project does propose kind of a single building type, and they provided basically 3 different treatments, 3 different elevations for the building type across the site. This would be the first treatment, here the second, and the third elevation. Here just a sample of one of the sides, the elevation of the clubhouse. That would be at the look at the entrance on Junipero. As noted in the staff report, just kind of run down some of the planning staff's concerns and considerations on the project. The project is at its, or has completed its second plan check, just to note kind of the stage where it's at in processing by staff. On our first plan check, the Heritage Lake Drive was not provided, and actually the site had development all the way to its property. With our first plan check, we noted that Heritage Lake Drive should be provided through that site as it is to the project to the north. With that, upon our second plan check, we noticed that we noted that the driveway on Menifee Road might be considered to be shifted to Heritage Lake Drive, since Menifee Road is a more highly trafficked road. Although the Menifee Road driveway is only planned as right in, right out, so you wouldn't have the left turning traffic that would be more of a hazard at that driveway. Despite that, we did see some convenience out of having a driveway on Heritage Lake Drive for traffic basically exiting the project site, wanting to head north on Menifee Road. And some of our latest discussions with the applicant is that we might consider an exit-only driveway onto Heritage Lake Drive. That way, traffic wanting to head north on Menifee Road, that they can do that a little more directly by going out onto Heritage Lake Drive rather than going all the way around on Junipero, Heritage Lake Drive, and then a left at the light at Heritage Lake Drive and Menifee Road.
Russell, can you say that again?
Sorry, I kind of ran through that a little fast.
Yeah, just would you?
So, for instance, if you live in, the east side of, if you're a resident of the project and you live on the east side of this, if you wanted to go north on Menifee Road, you would have to traverse across the site all the way to Junipero Road, go north on Junipero, Heritage Lake Drive, and then make a left at Menifee Road. Or you would exit the Menifee Road driveway, go down to McCall, make a U-turn at McCall, and head north on Menifee Road. Basically, it's just not really convenient movement there, and so what our latest discussion is maybe an exit-only driveway somewhere, in this area along Heritage Lake Drive, so that that way they can go to the signal at Menifee Road and Heritage Lake Drive to make the left heading north on Menifee Road. So again, that's something the applicant's looking at right now to see what the possibility
And
of
there
that
is a signal there?
There is a signal there at Heritage Lake Drive and Menifee Road.
Thank you.
The site layout, as noted in the staff report, the site is laid out in a very grid-like kind of all on the same kind of north, south, east, west plane. This kind of lends a monotony to the site as far as the views along the internal driveways as well as from the perimeter of the project. We've talked with the applicant about providing a little bit more angles to if not all the buildings, at least to some of the more prominent buildings along some of the drive aisles to lend a little bit more visual interest from the exterior or even the interior of the site. In our discussions with the applicant, they've noted, and I'll allow them to respond to some of this, but that by angling some of the buildings, you lose some of the efficiency of the site, that it might cut into some of the open areas or parking areas in some cases, that this grid-like precise kind of placement does provide for a little more efficiency as far as use on the site. As shown before, some of the building elevations, they are proposing basically just one building type with 3 different elevation treatments. Staff's comments, and this is kind of related to the site layout concern, is kind of the redundancy of the views on the site, that having the same building type, although it's treated 3 different ways, does kind of provide for a uniform look to the site rather than a more visually interesting look to the site. So in concert with the site layout concerns, the staff had requested maybe some additional treatments or more varied treatments between the 3 elevations to get a little more interest between all the buildings. Also to note some of the recreational amenities being provided by the project. There is the clubhouse, which has a variety of uses inside of it, including the fitness room, gaming room, club room, lounge room, computer room, as well as the leasing office for the apartment complex. They also have a dog park. The latest plan did note a sand volleyball area, but in discussions with the applicant, we've noted that maybe a tot lot or playground might be a little more appropriate. And so they're looking at kind of what the demographics might be of the apartment and what might be the most appropriate amenity for there. Beyond that, there are trellis seating areas, shaded seating areas, barbecues, fire pits, and of course open turf area for just kind of open play. So with that, we've noted kind of what some of staff's concerns so far with the project. And so at this time, we'd recommend the Planning Commission conduct the workshop and note any comments or concerns they may have to staff and provide the feedback to the project applicant. This concludes our presentation.
Do I turn the time over to?
She
Our
can
chair.
just continue it. You can just finish the workshop. Go ahead. That's fine.
Okay. I don't have a cheat sheet, but do we turn the time over to the applicant at this time? Okay. Would the applicant like to make any comments? If you'll state your name. Oh,
Okay, there we go. My name is Keith Christensen. I represent the owner of this property, and he's owned it for a few years here now, and we've done a lot of research on this property, especially its location next to the school, next to the commercial that's coming in, and noting its density. And with that, we thought that a multifamily project would go very well on this site. By doing that, we got involved with Humphrey Partners, one of the leading multifamily product developers in the nation, to work on a design for us. You'll note that the Big House project, they call it, they look like very, very large homes on this site. And from a bird's eye view, looking down, like Russell explained, it does look, a little linear when you look in a bird's eye view. But from the side, there's a lot of movement in these buildings. You haven't seen them before. They're down in San Diego right now going gangbusters, and they're getting $2 a square foot for them down there. We don't expect to get that up here, but we do expect, the norm up here is about $1.25 a square foot. We're expecting to probably be in the $1.30 a square foot, $1.40 a square foot range, because every single one of these has a garage. Every unit has a garage. They range from roughly 1,000 square feet to 1,600 square feet, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. We see it as a move-up product. From the recession we had here. Some people still can't get the homes, but in the meantime, maybe they would like to have a large amenitized project like this and have a pretty decent size square footage for a family and have the amenities around them, have the commercial there, have the school there. We're here to kind of bounce some of these ideas off you. We've worked with Russell for the past several months and have incorporated a lot of his ideas and the planning department's ideas into this and worked side by side. There's a lot of open space here, 6,500 square foot clubhouse. We've really tried to do it right here. I'm going to let Humphrey Partners take over here. They have a little bit more detail on the units themselves and the layout themselves, but we're here to answer any questions you have, give you any feedback you have, and make you feel comfortable about the project at hand.
Could you please just mention again the square footage?
Square footage, I think it's 878, 900 square feet is the smallest unit, up to 1,547 square feet in a 6,500 square foot clubhouse.
Is there any questions for Mr. Christensen from the commissioners?
Yeah, I have a question. Just to the west of the project, that's the school that's there, right?
That's correct.
Boulder Ridge.
Boulder Ridge, right. Is there a traffic light either there now or proposed at the exit or the entrance exit on the Junipero Road area?
There is not a signal proposed there at this time.
Because I'm concerned about if there's no if it's not free flowing on Heritage Lakes Drive, then the only two ways, really, the majority going in and out of Menifee Road and Junipero Road, I'm concerned about the amount of traffic that's going to be coming out with the school right there, with people coming in and out to drop off children and that kind of thing.
Right.
The traffic jam that might create with a traffic light, was that reviewed at all in the staff report? Was that a consideration, that traffic pattern over there by the school when this gets populated?
The traffic study, of my understanding, is currently under review by engineering, but I'll let engineering.
The traffic study was actually submitted to us a week ago, and we gave the applicant some kind of scoping agreement wherein we set the threshold as to what intersections they have to analyze. And I believe the intersection of Junipero and Browse and right at the school was included in the threshold to be analyzed. So because the traffic studies is still under review, we cannot tell right now whether a traffic signal will be warranted.
All right, so you're talking about considerably north of the project site up
Correct,
on Rouse.
right.
But I'm concerned about the southern border of the project site that leads directly into the school, basically. There appears to be a driveway on the Junipero Road exit there that would feed right into the school. And that's the one I really have the most concerns about. You know, on Menifee Road, there's a traffic signal there at Heritage Lake already.
Right.
And McCall also, I believe. So that kind of takes care of itself. But this one, I'm concerned about the safety of the children there running across the street and also creating log jams in the morning.
Right. And I believe that was one of the intersection that was included in the scoping agreement. Is that correct?
That's correct. It is included in there, and I agree with you. I mean, there is a school. We think that's an asset to our community as well, our proposed community. So we would look to do the right thing at that exit, at entry point into our project.
Wouldn't a ride out only out of that west entrance solve the problem from crossing back over to the school?
No.
No?
Well, I think you're really, if you do that with nothing on Heritage Lake and a right out only, I mean, you're talking about traffic jams a mundo through that project. You can't get it, if you can only get one direction from one place in the entire project. What's going to be on I know there's a commercial zone just to the south of the project. So what is going to be on the border between these two parcels, meaning that commercial project below and this proposed project? Is there a wall? Is it a road? What's supposed to separate these two?
Okay, our southerly boundary is a pilaster, wrought iron fence along that boundary. The project to the south right now has retention basins along there. So that on the layouts we've seen, they have retention basins and they have some of their parking, then they have their buildings. So there's kind of a buffer along there right now.
So there's not planned to be any kind of roadway that runs along the southern border of this that goes parallel to Heritage
No.
Lake? And how many units total are we talking about here?
We started with, like Russell said, we started with 260 because the project to the north of us was designed all the way to the center line of Heritage Lakes. That being the case, they were going to do away with Heritage Lakes. That project has now come in for a minor change, which means that opened up the Heritage Lakes again to the city. So Heritage Lakes then came in. We adjusted our entire project a second time, dropped it down to where it was, and lost 2 units. So now we're at 240.
And the last thing I'll just ask you is, why are you asking us to rezone this as opposed to going with the current zoned use of single-unit properties?
We believe that the density works here with the commercial nearby. It works for the commercial, and we have the school nearby. So the density that is out there is 8 to 14, and to amenitize this project in the way we have, the 240 works for this project.
All right, that's all I have for questions right now.
Okay. I have 2 concerns. One is the impact to the school, Heritage High. Have you considered the additional population of young people of high school age as far as going to that school? I think that school right now is already over capacity. And one of my concerns is you're going to be adding X number of bodies to that school without, I would say, providing them with some means to expand, hopefully, to accommodate that extra group of students. And the next problem I have is the access that you have here. You say it's right in, right out on Menifee Road. Well, see, all our emergency response services are south and to the west, which kind of complicates getting in there should that need arise. Is there somewhere, I'm looking over here, to the east of where you're pointing. And this is where my concern is. Can the plan be modified to allow some improvements on Menifee Road to upgrade the access to this area? Those are the only 2 concerns I had.
I guess the one question would be up on Menifee Road to upgrade the access in which manner? To right in it, right now it's right in, right out. It's gone, through the fire department, some of the police department as well. We do have the access point there. It is right in, right out. There is full, Pero. So I guess my question is on Menifee Road, what were you looking for on access there?
basically left in from Menifee Road, heading north, because the hospitals are south and west, the police south and west. And I'm looking at if something were to be occurring over in this area that would require the access, their routes to get to this area would be down McCall and then left on Menifee because it's faster, and then a turn into wherever the event is taking place.
So you're saying they'd be coming down McCall?
Left turn on Menifee, heading north, and then left into the development.
But then at that point, they could take a left in Uniparo and come in? If they're coming from McCall
I'm
east?
still looking at the east end of this project,
Okay.
and that's where my concern is on that. I'm in favor of putting a traffic light up there. I have been through that area on Junipero and McCall. It's an absolute mess at the end of the school day. And I've seen crosses over there. I guess somebody got killed, because coming down that hill, it's a blind side. And if you're coming there between 2:30 and 3:30, you're going to hit a mob of kids. I would strongly recommend that you consider some kind of a traffic signal there, or some method of control to kind of mitigate or get rid of that possibility of something's going to happen. Those are the only two. One other concern, I really like the way this project was set up. I'm warning about, no, that was answered when I looked at the bigger plan. So that was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for staff, I guess. The R2 zoning, was that something that the city consciously did, or was that a rollover zone when it was county?
The R2, I mean, basically the entire city's zoning code is primarily a reflection of the county's code. The R2 zone would be the best fit for the general plan land use designation and for the development type they are proposing, which is apartments. The
Right, but
applicant
did I mean, when the city went through and did their general plan update, you looked at where you'd have apartment buildings and such and high density? Is this one of those areas that you looked at?
Yeah, the general plan land use designation on this is for the higher density multifamily. So what would be happening is, keep in mind, that's the one that really controls, or indicates how the land uses are. The zoning then needs to be consistent with what the general plan. So the general plan already exists at the.
Right, but my question is, when was that designated? Was that just because it rolled over as such, or did the city look at that when we went through the general plan update and go, we want high density there?
From my recollection, this site, 8 to 14, existed under the Riverside County General Plan.
Okay. And then I had another question. This might be a policy question to be agendized or something, but I know that when we send out notices, it's within a certain number of feet. There's obviously a homeowner association that's not within that area, but it seems like it would be a good courtesy, a good policy to send these out to the homeowner association, not necessarily to every homeowner out there, but to the association to make those referrals.
And that's a good, I think, a good suggestion. If there is a homeowners association adjacent, and then within that 300-foot radius, we could notify them of this as well.
Well, I guess I'm saying,
Yeah,
if
along
there's
with
a
the property
property
owners.
that belongs to the homeowner association that's within the radius, that as a courtesy, we also notify the homeowner association.
Yeah, no, we can do that.
I agree.
And I also do agree with staff's comment about having prime access via Heritage Lake Drive. I think getting most of the traffic off of Menifee Road would be beneficial
Are you talking about an exit point there?
as a main entrance being off of Heritage Lake Drive. Right, because I think that's 55 miles an hour right there off Menifee, isn't it, at that point?
I'm not aware of the speed zone that Menifee Road is.
Menifee is classified as a, I believe,
Be a main highway, right?
yeah, it's an urban arterial, so the speed would,
Pretty sure it's 55,
Right,
it's 50 or
yes.
55 right out
yeah,
there, so
about
that's,
that,
you know,
yes.
that's a concern.
Right. It would be better if the access is actually off of Heritage Lakes.
Do you have any comments, Chris?
Yeah, I would agree with the Heritage Lake main access point on there. Anyone who's driven Menifee Road knows that everyone gets going on that road. It's pretty big, and I would agree with staff's comment on the layout. What happens with these things is when they're laid out the way they are, and then the trees and stuff start growing in, basically it gets very compact looking. If you drive over in front of the Mapleton subdivision over off of Antelope and Scott, a little farther down from there, they have something very similar to this. And once you get in there, you can't see anything because it's just walls of buildings. So I would agree with doing a more staggered layout. And multiple pools as well. You're going to have a lot of kids, a lot of people in there. One pool isn't really going to cut it. So those are my comments for now.
Okay. Mr. Christian, I agree with staff. I'm a little concerned with Menifee Road as being any kind of main entrance, and I know you have a right in and right out. And we're not just going to be looking at this. There's going to be a shopping center right next to it on the corner. And some of the comments that Mr. Phillips made, I agree with on this Junipero. Boulder Ridge Middle School it's because of the way that street access is. You come down over that hill on McCall, anytime the kids are at school, they're going to school, or anytime they're getting out of school. If you notice, they've even put pylons in the middle, which is, it needs to have a permanent fix there. It's kind of like a temporary fix. It is a very, very dangerous situation. I've been there when the kids are getting out of school and when they're going, and even the parents there, because there's no busing, I believe, because the cars are lined up on McCall, just lined up, and the middle school kids are just walking along the side. It got changed to elementary, that's right, but when it was middle school, they were all out on the street. So, okay, so that's a big concern that I really would like staff to even really work with you and look at that, if there can be a light or something at that intersection of McCall and Junipero. With 240 units, and I know from previous public hearings of other apartment complexes that have wanted to come in, and talking to some of the apartment complexes that are here, there's a lot of requests for 2 and 3 bedrooms, a lot. And that means there's some families moving into these apartments. And I'm not sure if this one pool is big enough. I don't know if you would want to look. A real popular thing right now is splash pads for families. I know over in the Heritage Lakes area, they have a pool that is very nice, but they also have a splash pad area for younger children. And with these apartments and having young families, that might be another place where there's a playground and a splash pad in one of your green areas. The grid-like, staff's a professional on this. If they're saying it looks a little grid-like, maybe we do need a little variety with that, a little interest, but that's complementing in creativity. I agree with the buildings that maybe if there could be a little bit more variety. I like the looking like a house. That was one thing I noticed right away looking at the information. They did look like a home, it didn't look like an apartment building.
Correct.
And so it looks like it was a little more upper class. So that looked good. So I'm just looking at enough play area, enough splash pad for families. One of the apartment complexes that I did check out with another developer, that was one complaint the girls in the office said, is that the people that live there just said there wasn't enough play area for the families with young children. And like you said, it's a step up. So yes, you're going to get a lot of probably young families that maybe are just starting off with starting their families. And so I think we really look at those needs. And you said you're going to do some kind of research to see the demographics or something to see what, is that what you were?
No, we have been looking at research and noticing the demographics in here. We would see, especially in this area, as somewhat of a move of people waiting to get a home, people still trying to get together to get a home. And we're trying to give an environment that's kind of like above an apartment out here, so.
Okay, all right. So those are a little bit of my comments as well, and I would be anxious to hear from your other representative from the Humphrey. So.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sung Kim. I am from Humphreys and Partners Architects. Humphreys is a nationally recognized multifamily architect. We design any apartment or condominium projects, ranging 2 stories to high rise. This big house project we have presented here tonight is one of Humphreys' signature design that Mr. Humphreys owns the copyright for the design because it is a very, very unique design, which I would like to go through my slides and present to you. So, Russell did a very good job kind of giving the overall feel for the project, but I would like to point out some good aspects of the project that I think this project really deserves some credit and commendation. So I'll start out with the amount of open space we have. In this illustrative site plan, you'll see that we have 2 villages in a way. One village established from the entrance from Junipero side and another from Menifee side. And you'll see the green space that we have established on the eastern, somewhere in the centrally located area, and that is the area where we have we can potentially locate extra pools, tot lots, amenities that are family oriented. We have a 2-story clubhouse, about 6,500 square feet with a pool that's associated to it. So this project is nothing short of amenities and open spaces. Commonly accessible open space, we have about 450 square foot per unit. And that is just unheard of in a way. We talked about units. We have very little percentage of 1-bedroom units, about 10% of the 240 total units. 50% of the units are 2 bedrooms, very, very large split bedroom, 2-bedroom units. And we have 40% family-oriented 3-bedroom units that occupy 2 corners of our 10-plex big house building. So I would like to emphasize that this project is 1, family-oriented, 2, it provides the units that are family-oriented, not only open space, and 3, they are big units, and they do really emulate single-family lifestyle, as Chris and Russell mentioned, that every one of these 10 units in each building has a direct access garage, including the units on the upper level. Every unit has its own distinctive entry to their unit. This building is 100% efficient, meaning that there's no corridor. You never have to go buy another unit to get to your unit. You have your own entrance on the ground level for all 10 units. So this is an upscale. Humphreys has built this project not only as an apartment, but as a condominium for sale product. Exactly the same 10-plex building in its exact unit mix, 10% ones, 50% twos, and 40% threes. Ranging square footage-wise, these are big units compared to today's apartment square footage units. If we can go to the next slides. Architectural, land planning wise, you will not notice the monotony in this land plan design we have. Our 10-plex big house usually plats at about 15 to 17 dwelling units per acre density. And even at that density, because of the architectural articulation we have, the big house elevation, you will not notice that it looks like a long apartment building as you had mentioned. Angling the building does not give you that dynamic experience you're looking for. The experience, the dynamic, the diversity is provided with building design and articulation, 2, colors and elevation treatments, and 3, amount of open space. If you go to the very first one, I'm sorry, Russell, we have a street elevation from Junipero side. And you will never notice from street experience that these are apartment complex. It does look like a 3-car garage mansion homes, appropriately spaced. Now, we can explore.
Can I just ask you very quickly? Sorry, you've given us 3 color schemes here. Is the complex going to mix and match the color schemes, or are you going to pick one for the entire?
No. So I do have a slide that shows a distribution of these 3 color schemes. They will be mixed so that we try to minimize seeing 2 same schemes at any perspective view. So if you can go to the floor plans, I do want to just briefly touch on, it's a little difficult to see on the screen, but the front portion of the building is occupied with garages that provide direct access to every one of these 10 units. And each floor plan is designed with a great room concept. It's open floor plan, so you have kitchen, dining, living in one open space, really mimicking the lifestyle of single-family residence. That's why this is an upscale, very Class A luxury apartment buildings. If you can go to the next slides, I do want to respond to your question about the 3 color schemes that we have. There is an exhibit showing color-coded site plan showing 3 different building types. Yeah, this one. So each color represents a color scheme, and we've only identified the 2 buildings at the project entrance because we do want to create a gateway as a sense of arrival as you come into the project. Otherwise, we would mix up the color scheme so that you won't see a series of one color or one building at any point. So we have 24 buildings, 3 different schemes. We feel that we have diversity, we have dynamic experience on the project, together with the open space provided. I wouldn't discount the amount of open space we have because it's a big player in providing and breaking up the massing of the community. And the next slide will show each color scheme that we have. We can explore possibly applying different materials, maybe some masonry on the base of the building, because pedestrian experience is probably the most important than bird's eye or drive-by experience. So we can treat the ground level slightly differently if that would suffice the staff's comment about adding more diversity and more dynamic experience.
Some kind of a wainscot or something.
Yeah, kind of wainscot, and then stone on the below the wainscot. And then the next slides will show the floor plan of the clubhouse. There again, we have a 2-story main clubhouse with pool. Very big, a lot of amenities in there.
Can I ask you on the clubhouse, is this a type of clubhouse where your residents can, I guess, rent it out or use it, or is it just open during the daytime hours when there's staff there?
No, typically the clubhouse is access controlled with a key fob so that the residents will have the control to the spaces that owner would like to open up to the residents 24/7. We do have leasing office built in on the ground level of the clubhouse where it will be controlled or locked
I
after the
understand
normal
that, yeah.
business hours. We have various types of lounge, clubhouse, seating areas, cyber cafe, fitness. We have game room for younger, because it is a family-oriented areas, we do provide game rooms on the upper level where they can come and play Xbox, Wii, or whatever games they play. So plus with the amount of outdoor open space, we do have variety of indoor common spaces that the residents can come and enjoy. And then I think the last slide, so clubhouse design complementing the Spanish Mediterranean style that we have for the residential buildings. Here we have 3 different color schemes, 2 different roof materials to vary the design as much as possible. There again, going back to the landscape site plan, just to touch up on the amount of and the dynamic outdoor experience we have for the project. Templex. This slide, we did study the access coming off of Heritage Lake, Russell, after we, maybe it's the one after this one. So when we talked to Russell, his initial suggestion was to have ride in and ride out only. That lines up with the future entrance to the single-family homes to the north of us. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out with the site plan we have designed at hand right now. As you can see, it lines up somewhat awkwardly between those 2 buildings. And those 2 buildings, because we designed the site plan with entries from Menifee and Junipero, we have exposed our best-looking elevation, the big house elevation, to those streets. You'll notice that facing Heritage Lake Drive, which we didn't know that we had to extend and put in place. Later, we found out from the staff, after we had already developed the site plan. You'll notice that we have the longer building side facing Heritage Lake Drive. So if we are to introduce a secondary or more significant project entry from Heritage Lake Drive, I would love to create one between building 4 and the building on the left, not aligned with the intersection on the north side, because we sort of naturally have enough separation between the buildings to create nice point of arrival. But it wouldn't make sense from land planning standpoint because you would want that intersection lined up from what's being planned on the north side of us.
Yeah. Just one of my main concerns as I'm sitting in here listening is I just keep going back to the Junipero Road and that middle school. And your main entrance being on that side. I just don't know how, I'm not sure, Russell, how this road lines up with that school. Is that school, I know there's a road, or you drive into the school, is there going to be a road next to it, or does it go all the way through?
So if the aerial kind of, that might actually better serve kind of looking at that.
It goes directly in, so does it dead into the school parking lot? And then it's going to go all the way through the Junipero Road?
So Junipero would continue along this site boundary up to Heritage Lake Drive, and the project then, the single-family development further north would then also continue Junipero to the north. And so you can see kind of here on the aerial, the driveway is basically, going right into where the southern boundary of this project is, and the northern boundary of the shopping center to the south is. So that's just for orientation where this project sits in relation to the driveway for the school and kind of the traffic movements associated with that. So the driveway on Junipero is approximately right here, so further north of the school's driveway.
I, just personally, that just kind of scares me a little bit, being right there with the school. And I know that you weren't aware, none of it, that the Heritage Lake was going to go through. And I don't know if it's something that you can talk with staff and talk with engineering and truly look at the safety of that. And you would probably have to probably switch. And I'm not sure if that's the wise thing to do, Russell. it just is a concerning thing with the school right there, more traffic on that one road as their main entrance.
I would concur with that, and being that your concern is the layout, but if you were to take away the entrance on Menifee Road, you would give you more room to reconfigure things there and make your main entrance on Heritage Lake, because what's happening is it's just, you're trying to fit the traffic flow to your design, when really you should be trying to fit the design to the proper traffic flow.
Understood.
That's really what it boils down to.
Sure, yeah, we can work with Russell where we can come in off of Heritage Lake Drive. It just, the two entries that are being planned to the development of the north side, does our entrance need to line up with one of those two? That's sort of.
That's kind of a
or could it be
have-to
in
right there.
between?
Would you
Looks
not
like the
put
two entries are pretty far apart from each
traffic
other.
ready?
Yeah, we are also reviewing actually the development to the north of this proposed development. And so that development, we would have to have the traffic engineer take a look at if it would work, because you're going to end up with like the distance between driveways. We need to take a look at that if that would become a safe
Safety issue there.
issue. So it all boils down to having the traffic impact analysis available for us to take a look at.
Yeah.
And-
I would just like to make note that
Uh-huh.
that is a concern, is that, and that's mine. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels, except,
We
and,
should probably take public
Public hearing.
comment here.
okay.
Just one other comment. I personally am more geared towards single-family homes. So if you were to get my support for this, it would have, the safety and the traffic would really have to work before I would say giving up the single-family designation to multifamily. That's a big leap for me. I don't know what the rest of the commission. So it would have to be a pretty well super planned out.
I think the entire commission is in agreement with that. There's a lot of traffic being funneled into that one spot. So, I mean, I don't think we're seeing that. I'm not personally opposed to the project, but I do have concerns with the amount of traffic that's going to be funneled into that, in front of that school.
All right, so correct me if I'm wrong, especially Russell, if I'm not mistaken, the city general plan amendment has designated this site to be high density, up to 14 DU per acre. Our project is only at 12.5 right now.
Right.
So it complies with the general plan amendment that city has went through. I believe the city is in process of updating your zoning code so that it be consistent with your general plan, the new general plan. So my question to you all is, have you done your traffic analysis and you guys went through the general plan amendment to upgrade the density on this site? Typically, it is done to accommodate the higher density designation on this.
Yeah, there is an overall traffic impact analysis that was done, which was used as a basis for the general plan. However, as each development comes in, each development would be required to do a focused traffic study, which was required of your development. And if I might add, actually, the traffic impact analysis for your site was asked to analyze the intersections of Heritage Lakes and Menifee, as well as the proposed driveway on Menifee, and also the intersection at Menifee and McCall and Junipero, and the intersection or right about the entrance to the school. So all those points of intersection are actually required to be analyzed by the TIA.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty typical process.
Right.
Thank
Probably get to the public
Yeah,
comment.
thank you. We're going to try to hear from some of the
Sure.
public now. I
Thank
guess
you for
they're
your-
sitting here waiting. We need to let them have,
Sure. Thank
You
you.
ready for those?
is there sheets? for
Yes.
those? Okay,
And I'll just note, you did receive correspondence on the item in your blue folders.
thank you.
First speaker, Jennifer Raverly.
All
Sorry, I'm dressed like this. I just came directly from the gym over there. I live in Heritage Lake. Actually, my backyard backs up to Menifee Road directly behind the proposed project. One of my biggest concerns, as well as the rest of yours, is the traffic. I don't know if they're aware that every year when it rains, Menifee Road closes right where the train tracks go by. It completely closes because it's flooded. There's no infrastructure to support the growing community there. McCall goes down to one lane by the school. There's already been, as Mr. Phillips said, there's been 2 deaths. Had that accident happened, had that accident happened half an hour later, the kids would have been leaving school. There's no way to see over that hill. So we're talking about adding more traffic. There's a light at Junipero and McCall currently, right where you turn right to go into Boulder Ridge Elementary School. The traffic at that light from the short distance from McCall to Junipero takes 20 to 30 minutes from about 7:15 to 8 o'clock in the morning to get about a half a mile just between Menifee Road and Junipero Road on McCall if you're going west. So for all of us leaving Heritage Lake in the morning, we're already sitting in 20 minutes of traffic to go about a quarter of a mile. I know we've already addressed that infrastructure, but there's not a lot of room for expansion on either side of McCall at that point. And you go through the hills where the roads merge, so it goes down to one lane. So that, to be expanded, would actually have to cut more into the mountain, and there's currently homes there. Having just the right turn, as you were discussing, off of McCall, or off of Menifee Road, I'm sorry, a right in, right out, that goes down to one lane over the train tracks as well. When you go down Menifee Road, you go north on Menifee Road, over the tracks, and then all the way up until the 74, that's one lane. So those are the traffic concerns. There's also concerns with the schools that are already highly congested. Mesa View Elementary, Boulder Ridge Elementary, Ethan A. Chase Middle School, and Heritage High School are all very close, if not over capacity at this point. And with single-family housing, there's going to be more people, but the high-density
Ms. Ravely,
housing...
that's it, it's your time.
Sorry.
Thank
Okay.
you. Connie Bean?
I think I'll just take up where she left off. My name's Connie Bean, and I live in Heritage Lake as well. Opposed to this development primarily because of the congestion. Exact same things that Jennifer had said. Just trying to get to the freeway in the morning takes 20 to 30 minutes. There's not really any way around it. If you try to go to the 74, you're down on a one lane. If it rains, that's closed. You can try and go around the other way and go down and try to get up Newport. That's ridiculous too. There's no way around it, and I cannot see how they can bring more, a multi-family complex to this area. It's overcrowded as it is. It's dangerous. You're talking about going one of the main entrances being the same entrance where the children go to school there, and it's not even junior high anymore. It's elementary. It's a very, very dangerous proposal. And then, another thing that was noted is I live more than 300 feet away from this proposal. The only way I found out about it was that she was one of the people that was within 300 feet of it. The rest of us that were going to be greatly impacted had no idea until other people that were notified let everybody else know. And not everybody, we have a community Facebook page. I mean, not everybody even is on that. So if you're going to impact the whole community, I think the whole community should be notified. Anyway, you know, they're talking about, you know, another 564 parking spaces. You know, it's just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous now, and I don't see how it can possibly, you know, be changed. There's no place for expansion on Menifee. It would take a lot of money and upgrade to the infrastructure even to expand the area by the railroad tracks. I mean, it's flooded all the time when it rains. I don't see how we can, you know, throw another 564 cars in there. It's not only the congestion, but it's the safety for the children and the overcrowding for the schools. Did you have any questions that you wanted to ask me? Okay, thank you.
Matthew Duarte.
Yes, hello, good evening. I think I've met a couple of you before, but my name is Matt Duarte. I'm a local attorney and a longtime Menifee resident. I grew up here, and I happen to live in the Heritage Lake Project and be one of the handful of people that's within the 300 feet radius there. I'm also, as I said, I'm an attorney. I do some land use stuff, so I have some familiarity with this. I'm also a member of the board of directors for Valley-wide Parks and Recreation District. Tonight, though, I'm just here with my resident hat on because I have some serious concerns about this project. A lot of them have been addressed, and I think Jennifer did a great job articulating some of the issues with traffic. You guys mentioned, you know, ingress and egress through a school zone is obviously a concern. And I think also overburdening the infrastructure. We didn't really talk about McCall and getting to Menifee Road. McCall doesn't have sidewalks right now, and we're talking about 240 units on top of what's a two-lane road is a serious concern. The other one I had is just kind of more recent, is water. You know, our governor's telling us really every day for the past week how we need to be stopping our water usage. This zoning change necessarily increases the water usage. Is that something that's consistent with what the state is telling us? Is that something that has been brought to EMWD's attention? You know, our HOA can't even water its green belt. How are we going to address this increased usage from the residents? Another thing is transportation. You know, higher density units like this will quite often or more than likely require public transportation. This entire corridor right here has no public transportation outlets whatsoever. There are no RTA stops at all. Now, near MSJC, it makes sense because there are RTA stops there by the school. But as it stands now, there's nothing, and I think you'd be doing a disservice to the people if you were to put multi-family housing there without any public transportation. And then finally, I just would respectfully disagree. I think that this does fail to comport with the general plan. You know, the general plan calls for a diversity of uses, and actually right near the north area, there's a high-density, it's zoned for high-density use right now. If you see the brown right there, if you start clustering all the high-density multifamily uses, that does not provide for a diversity of uses within the community. So really, again, my concerns, traffic is a huge one. Water, how's the city and the county and the EMWD going to manage that? Transportation, it doesn't seem feasible or, you know, thought out at this point. And then fourth, that I think it would subject the city to a challenge because it doesn't comport with its general plan. Thank you.
I have no further speakers.
I have a quick question. When we do go through the zoning on this, since the underlying land use has the highest priority in designating, the zoning has to match that. It could still stay single-family zoning and have that density of land use, correct?
I think, from what I remember, the general plan does have the minimum of 8, and it might be difficult to achieve a single-family style development at 8 dwelling units per acre.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think the general plan does have minimums for each of those land use designations in the residential areas as well. So I don't know what it is offhand, though, but yeah.
Well, I know the 8 to 4 is the land use, but as far as the zoning, could you accomplish single family at an 8? Or is it mathematically not working this?
At 8 units per acre, I'm not sure I've seen a single-family detached type project.
Yeah, that'd be a very, very dense, single-family, very row, probably zero lot line kind of a thing. It'd be a very dense.
So the point is, it's gonna go multifamily when the zoning's completed on there. Is that correct?
To be consistent with the general plan, the
Yeah.
zoning would be a multifamily zoning, yes.
Because as a commission, we've been waiting to do this whole zoning change to be consistent with the general plan, and I know we're getting to it. But I think that's important. Obviously, everyone knows I do not like density, but I don't think we're gonna have a choice here on the zoning, because the underlying land use is the rule, and the zoning has to match it. So we're gonna be forced to go, am I correct in saying we're gonna be forced to go multifamily on the zoning on this?
In order to achieve consistency, you would have to have a zone that would be, would be consistent with or compatible with the general plan land use designation.
Okay, at this time, should we close the workshop and continue a little?
I have one comment, sort of concerning the water issues. I have been, for lack of a better term, hobnobbing with Eastern Municipal. And when the new mandate for water reduction came about, Eastern Municipal was already well aware of that, and they are working on contingencies. They have safe and reliable water projections that meet at least a portion of the build-out. Nobody knows exactly how serious this drought's going to get, and a lot of the actions being taken out of Sacramento are somewhat proactive. And Eastern Municipal has 26 agencies that they distribute water to, and Eastern, as everybody knows, gets their water from State Water Project and the Colorado River. The thing is, what they're trying to do is to slow down taking water out of their existing reserves. As far as I know, they have water projected for our build-outs here in Menifee at least out to about 5 to 7 years. And so they issue will-serve letters to developers. The bottom line is what the city council is planning on doing as far as whether or not they're going to restrict or impose a moratorium on any further development. And I haven't heard from any of my sources that the city council is going to do that. But I do know that as a result of the recent mandate, the executive order that the governor put out, a lot of the local agencies, water agencies, are going to have to rework their urban water management plans, which means that there may be some additional restrictions on new developments as a result of that. I just wanted to put that out there to let you know that the people, the energy industry and the water industry, they're well aware of this problem. And while they want to go ahead and give you all the water you can handle, it is a finite supply. And they are trying to work out the best fit for not only the existing population, but those populations that are planned for moving in. Thank you.
Vice Chair Sowick, what I would suggest is that at this time, I think, and I just first of all want to thank all the residents for coming out and speaking as well and sharing with us the information and your concerns about this project as well. I believe we have a lot of input. And again, this is a workshop. It's not they're not going to take any, the commission cannot take any action tonight, will not take any action tonight. I believe we've got a lot of input from the residents. We also have the input from the Planning Commission as well. I think we can take that back and work with the developer at this time. So I think we can close this item and then move on to the public hearing portion of the meeting.
Okay. So on that, we'll close the workshop at 7:06, and turn the time over to our chair.
Okay, do we want to do you need a break, or can we continue on? Good to go.
Good to go.
Okay.
Thank
So, thank you, Lisa, for handling the workshop.
You're welcome.
Today, Vice Chair, tomorrow.
There you go.
Madam President.
Madam President, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's enough.
So we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Should we take a roll call?
Yes, sir.
then?
Commissioner Folsom.
Here.
Commissioner Carwin.
Here.
Commissioner Phillips.
Here.
Vice Chair Sobek.
Here?
Chair Thomas.
Here. And we'll go ahead and stand for the flag salute. And on your heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so I believe that item 9.1 is being continued, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so make a note. Okay. We don't have any presentations. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
We move on to item 7, approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, I move we approve the minutes as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have nothing on the consent calendar. Item 9.1 has been continued. Go ahead.
We need to, you do, since it's on here, we're recommending, it needs to be, the public hearing needs to be opened,
Open it.
and then we need to continue it to the meeting of the April 22nd, which would be the next meeting.
Okay, so let's go ahead and 9.1. So we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Was this properly noticed?
Yes, sir.
And do we have received any correspondence?
No further
And
correspondence.
do we have any speakers?
We do not.
Okay. So then we will go ahead and continue, leave it open and continue the public hearing to a date certain of April 22nd, 2015. Is that all we need to do on that?
And we need a motion on that.
Oh, yeah. We have a motion to continue this.
I will make a motion that we continue this public hearing to April 22nd, 2015.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call or vote?
Voice vote is fine.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so item 9.1's been continued to April 22nd. We will go on to discussion item 10.1. Let's make a note here. Discussion preliminary review of pre-application review 2014-218 proposed single-family subdivision of the 80 lots on Holland and Evans. So this is not a public hearing, so we just,
This is a workshop.
this is a workshop,
Yes.
okay. Do we have a presentation from staff on this?
Yes,
workshop?
yes, we do. And just Lisa Gordon, the planning manager, will review this with the commission. This item has come before the planning commission previously on February 11th of this year, and I would ask Lisa at this time to review it with the commission, then we'd be happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is also in the audience with us as well.
Good evening, Lisa Gordon presenting the pre-application review for a subdivision on Holland and Evans Road. The project site is located south of Holland Road, north of Corson, and east of Evans Road. The project was presented at a workshop on February 11th. At the time, 101 residential lots with a minimum lot size of 7,200 square feet was proposed, and there was no park provided in the development. At the workshop, the Planning Commission feedback included a recommendation that lot sizes be increased and that 10 to 12,000 square foot lots be added. If possible, preserve rock outcroppings and existing unique vegetation on site, a recommendation for more creativity to the neighborhood layout, a request that the basin along Holland Road would be adequately screened and landscaped, and a request that the traffic impacts be analyzed and mitigated. The developer has revised the map per the Planning Commission's feedback. They have increased the number of lots within the project has been reduced by 21 lots from 101 to 80, which is a reduction of about 20% of the lots overall. Lot sizes now range from 7,300 square feet to 18,574 square feet. There are 13 lots with a minimum lot size of 12,000 square feet, 17 lots with a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet, 16 lots with a minimum lot size of 9,000 square feet, and 25 lots with a minimum lot size of 8,000 square feet, and 9 with a minimum of 7,300 square feet. Regarding the request for preservation of the existing vegetation and rock outcroppings, the tentative map does not currently show that the existing vegetation and rock outcroppings will be preserved. However, the developer did agree at the previous workshop to consult with an arborist regarding replanting the trees within the project site. A multi-species habitat conservation plan compliance report will be required to be submitted with the formal tentative tract map application. That report will analyze existing vegetation on site and whether it must be preserved, and if not preserved, the appropriate mitigation, for example, creation of habitat elsewhere on the site or payment of a mitigation fee. A cultural resource report has also been requested for the proposed project. If the rock outcroppings are required to be preserved for archaeological purposes, this would be addressed in the report. So this item is anticipated to be addressed during the processing of the formal tentative tract map application, which has not been submitted. We're still at the pre-application review phase. Creativity to the layout has been addressed. The racetrack type street design has been eliminated. There are now 4 cul-de-sacs. There's a park with a tot lot with access from 3 of the cul-de-sacs and walking paths within the park. This is a blow-up of the park. You can see the tot lot and walking paths and how they connect to the 3 cul-de-sacs. There was a request for the basin to be landscaped and screened. The developer agreed to do this at the Planning Commission workshop. As part of the tentative map application, conceptual landscaping plans will be required. Staff will verify that the basin is adequately screened and landscaped upon submittal of the conceptual plans. If the tentative tract map is approved, there will be a condition of approval for the developer to submit final, as opposed to conceptual, landscaping and irrigation plans prior to issuance of a building permit. The landscaping and irrigation plans would be reviewed for consistency with the conceptual plan, including screening, and for compliance with the city's landscape ordinances, including drought-tolerant planting and water conservation irrigation. This item, again, is anticipated to be addressed during the processing of the formal tentative tract map application. The developer will be required to submit a traffic study with the tentative tract map application. The city's engineering and public works department will review the traffic study and coordinate with the developer on adequate mitigation for traffic impacts, which typically include road improvements, construction of traffic signals, or payment of fair share costs for these improvements. There are also fees required for regional transportation project funding, such as TUMP. The roads surrounding the development will be required to be improved consistent with the general plan standards. The spacing and location of access into the site is also analyzed by the city's engineering and public works staff for consistency with the general plan and based upon the findings of the traffic study and with consideration for public safety. This item is also anticipated to be addressed during the tentative tract map phase. At this time, staff recommends that we conduct the open to the public workshop and provide feedback to the applicant on their revised project. This concludes staff presentation.
Okay. Do we want to, do we have any questions about the staff report from anyone on the commission at this point? No? I do. Go ahead, you have your question.
I would like to compliment the developer for going in and making all these changes. The one. We took a lot of drastic cuts to try to satisfy. Yeah, I like that, especially the increasing of the lot sizes. That was right on. You're going to probably sell those big lots faster than the smaller ones.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, the second thing.
We can't have the back and forth at
Okay,
this point.
okay. That was it. The only other problem I had was the borrowing hours on the north on the northwest side.
Well, you need to ask staff if there's any questions, not necessarily them at this point. So did you have?
Yeah, okay, I can direct that to staff then. When I was on the site, I noticed there were burrowing owls there.
When they do the multi-species habitat conservation plan compliance report, there will be in that report a survey for the burrowing owls, and if they're still on the property, they'll come up with a relocation plan if necessary. And before they grade, they will have to do a pre-construction presence/absence survey for the burrowing owl as well. So there'll be a lot of opportunities through the development process and prior to site construction for dealing with the owls. Sometimes they stay on the property and sometimes they leave. So it's, you just kind of keep an eye on the situation as the project moves forward.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Could we clarify one thing on the lot C on the corner, the remainder lot? Is that that's where all the rocks are? Is that what that is? Or is it just going to be open?
No, the remainder lot, yeah, the remainder lot was, the property owner wanted to keep a lot for themselves.
Oh,
That
okay.
wasn't in the subdivision.
So ultimately, though, that will have a house on it?
Yes.
Okay, that will have a house on it. Okay, just want to make sure. Okay. So is there any more questions of staff at this point? If not, could we go ahead and, the applicant would like to do a presentation?
Good evening. My name is Sam Akrapur, Seik Engineers. I'm the engineer on the project.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you again. John Rowland. I'm the contractor on the job.
Well, we met again. So we were here in front of you, and then we took all your comments. We went back to drawing board. We reduced the 20% reduction on the density on these, and then pretty much, design a park at the center of these, based on the topography and design. That way it's accessible to 3 cul-de-sac. And as I said, as a developer, not getting 20% cut on this, I think that was a huge.
Yeah, it was 22%. Basically, what it boiled down to is we had to redefine, what type of homes we were going to put there, and we took your advice on you wanted a higher end, you wanted a more influential clientele to be able to come to those homes. Just barely finished them, so we didn't get a chance to present them to Lisa in time. But I did bring color renderings of the homes that are proposed. If you'd like to pass them around, if you can.
Can we put them on the viewer right there?
What?
Down to your right, that white thing, yeah. Yeah, yep. Maybe Jen, Jen will help you turn it on and get it going.
So taking into consideration the larger lots and, needing to get a larger premium for the sales price, we developed a new line of homes for this development. I think that you'll be really happy with the elevation. They're like nothing else in any other tract homes we have in the city. I've got a chance to, show them to some people within the city of Menifee, the city council and stuff. They really like the floor plan. I saw them just a couple days ago.
It was flickering, Mesa. I mean, Jen, it was flickering.
Meantime, we have done the traffic study for this. Honestly, all the, even though with 20% reduction, I think all the level service were good. We're going to mitigate whatever recommendation of the traffic study would be, and also for burrowing owl and other crops. We have a park here. If with the arborists, we're going to meet whatever mitigation we could do, even though within the park area, we will address that.
Yes, yeah, the traffic study, even with 101 homes, it came back favorable. And the cultural resources study has been completed and no findings whatsoever. So we're clear there, just to kind of give them up to date on those items. Those all finished up since our last meeting here.
Our little viewers not working?
Was,
The floor plan is on the back. It's got a color elevation on the front and then the floor plan on the back.
was, if I remember right, was there a large oak tree or some large trees on the property that we have to worry about?
No, there's no large trees on the property.
Okay.
There's some vegetation, but no large trees whatsoever. No oaks or anything.
What were the, on the surrounding, the perimeter around it and the backs in between the houses, was that block or was it, what is it? What's the?
Oh, on Holland, on Evans and Corson, we're going to propose the meandering trail, a DG trail with a white fence. We had discussed last time the possibility. So we're thinking a 3-rail white
rail.
vinyl fencing with a DG path rather than just putting a sidewalk
Yeah.
to kind of give it that more high-end feel from the green belt, from the
Do
street.
you have enough setback for that from
We
the
do.
street? What's your setback on Corson and Evans?
Carson is,
But it will have a walkway that'll start at the corner of Holland and Evans, and it'll go down to Corson, and then it'll turn and go down to Corson.
well, we
to
have
the-
12 foot of parkway there, you know, if you want, we can put a meandering, whatever DG road with
We have
whatever.
plenty of room to do it.
Wondering, what is the setback, for example, on Evans?
You know,
There,
setback.
we know? Lisa?
On Evans.
There's a requirement for a 21-foot parkway. Within that parkway, you can usually fit landscaping, a sidewalk, and some type of trail.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, there is a trail requirement on Evans, or at least there's some existing trails south of Evans, so maybe some type of connection to that might make sense.
Yeah.
And we'll look at that when we do the project, and if we need additional room outside of the parkway to accommodate both, we'll.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely, the trail connectivity is a huge issue right now. In fact, the city's going through a park master plan,
Parks
yeah,
and Trails.
Parks and Trails master plan, and connectivity is the highest of priority, so we want to make sure, yeah, that
Well,
connects.
we're open to that, and we think it'll be a great, addition to the development, having access to the
Oh,
trails for the
definitely,
residents. So,
definitely.
we're for that.
But going back to my original question, and I like the meandering trail with the vinyl fencing, I appreciate that.
Okay, great.
As far as the backs of the houses on Corson and Evans, or around it all, is that a cinder block, or is it a vinyl, what is it? What's
We
planned?
we haven't gone through the submitted yet to see what they like to see.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that point yet. Our guidelines right now require block walls on perimeters. If for some reason they need to be taller for noise, we can use berms and some block, but slump or precision is the typical with some decorative element
Okay.
to them.
Okay.
And with that in the background, and then the white vinyl fencing and the meandering trail should give it a nice look from the street.
Exactly, very nicely done. Go ahead, questions?
I don't really have a question. I just want to say I appreciate you listening to the comments and the changes that you did make. I think this looks really nice now. Your facades of the buildings here look super nice as well, so I think this is going to be a really nice development.
Thank you so
We
much.
thought it's a teamwork, see, we want that 20% reduction for his pocket, but anyway, make it work.
I agree, want to thank you gentlemen for listening to us, and it looks like you have a really nice project.
Thank you for the feedback. We
I-
appreciate it.
I'm so glad the creativity that you gave to the streets and the park and how 3 of the cul-de-sacs go to it, and the walkways. I think you're going to have a
Is
real
he getting
nice
all the
project.
credit or me?
Both. I think I said, gentlemen, Sam and John. Okay. So, thank you. I would like to get a copy of your renderings, if possible. So, but thank you. I think
No,
we're
see,
going
you guys wanted paseo, that's why I did that from the
Yes.
cul-de-sac. I wanted to create that paseo
Yes.
for you, huh? Yeah.
and I think you were questioning a paseo last time when I mentioned that.
Exactly, that's
But
what
is-
I had in my mind, I said, where I can create that.
Yes.
See?
Very nice.
Yeah.
Did you have a question there?
Yes, I did. On Murphy Lane, were you guys ever able to resolve that? I know that strip of land doesn't belong to you, that's right,
To the east?
yeah, to the east. You have that one strip of land that runs along your property. And when I drove over there, I was just wondering about whether or not you're going to do anything with Murphy Road, or have you
Actually,
spoke
he's
to the
in
residents
negotiation
there?
with the property owner. Something may pop out, then we'll bring it to you.
Yeah, he emailed again this morning. He's interested in negotiating. He may want to sell that to us, and we'll do more homes that match this track right on through that 10 acres.
Okay.
And they would be, of course, we would come in with the same density with some large lots and some upscale renderings for you.
Okay. Now, are you gonna build the homes yourself or sell it off to other builders?
No, I'm building the homes myself.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll be on site out there.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Oh, I do have one question. There was talk of replanting that oak tree and such. Where did you think you were gonna put it?
There's no oak trees.
I thought there was.
Tamarisk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or did you have thoughts of where?
We have to wait and see what the get the arborist
Arborist.
recommendation. We've got a lot of room,
Right
like
here.
with the park and different areas now, that we can relocate it and try to keep it on site would be our goal.
Okay.
One last question. I noticed when I looked at the plans again, and I drove back over there, you're going to be importing quite a bit of soil.
It's balancing now.
Balance.
You're going to balance it
No
out?
import, no
No,
export.
balance.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the current grading plan, we were able to balance all the dirt and get the drainage correct.
What about, we talked about the phase 1 and 2 testing. What, have we done any phase 1 on this at all initially?
We don't require Phase 1 testing until the formal application comes in.
Okay. So you've really bent over backward and you've done a nice project. And for me, I don't know everyone else, but density is a big issue, and higher quality homes that draws a higher income applicant or homeowner, and I appreciate that. So I don't want to push too hard, but there is the huge sludge issue, and there's a lot of stuff I'm sure has been dumped on this. So you're going to do a phase 1, but like I said, it would develop a lot of goodwill in the city if a phase 2 was continued, even if it was done. Even if a phase 1 did not indicate a phase 2, simply taking a few core samples, you would be heroes in the city.
Absolutely,
Just a
we'll
thought.
take that, definitely take that advice. And it had been, that property has been an alfalfa farm for many, many years, like even up until recently.
So it may have had
Which
sludge
means
put on it.
where there's
That's
alfalfa,
right.
they've dumped a lot.
They dumped.
Yeah, so there could be something there, but we'll figure it out. for
Actually,
sure.
we did a prelim on it, so prelim source report, it looks good, everything so far.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Any other comments by staff? Commission? Do you have any questions for us or any concerns?
What, since we have all of you guys blessing, can we bypass planning department?
Start moving dirt tomorrow. No.
Love it, thank you, sir.
Yeah, so continue to work with staff, and as we get farther along in the process,
We look forward
there
to
might be
seeing.
some other, adjustments, but so far we appreciate what you've done.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much for your time. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what we should be having more of.
I want the one story.
A one
the-
story.
The keep going, no,
Yeah.
keep going. No, keep going.
Bye-bye.
Keep, no, the other one.
Nope.
Yeah, I like that one. I like
Okay.
tradition.
Do
I like that one too.
we have, Mr. Brady, do we have any comments from you?
No comments this evening.
And do we have any comments or possible items to agendize from the commission at this time?
I have a comment. I was appointed to be on the Citizen Advisory Committee from me and Mr. Carwin are on that committee. And we've attended, as representatives of the Planning Commission, we've attended 2 of those meetings where we talked about the community, is it Community Block Grant Program? CDB? Yes. And we feel like we've listened to some applicants and have had some good discussions and are looking forward to our proposals going before City Council. So we have some good applicants.
Is that how they're doing the CDBG grants now, is through a citizens committee first?
Is that what it's called, citizens? What's it called?
Rather than straight to the council?
I think they've done that the last.
It's always done in the, but they,
couple years.
but they appointed the commission, 2 commissioners from each of the commission
Okay.
groups now.
Yeah, the current MCAC, the way it's at the Menifee Citizens Action Committees, I think it's new this year, the way they structured it. So they've got 2 people from this commission, 2 people from Parks and Rec, and 2 people from the senior advisory, and 2 students. So they get the perspective from all different ends of the community. And so we heard applications from everyone seeking payment from the block grant fund, and we ruled on that. And then this last week was just kind of an update on how we're going to handle this thing in the future, and talking about maybe getting some additional information ahead of time. And but I think it's all locked and loaded, and it's going to be going up to City Council. So we'll see how they do. But it was really focused. There was some really Menifee-centric applicants, and then there was some kind of broader applicants, and balancing those was a task. But I think we did a good job.
So we hope the city council will approve what the committee did. So
If you guys are watching.
Just wanted to make that report that we did that.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments?
Yes, I have one last call. I'd like to reiterate this concern about the water. I'm working with Councilman August, as well as certain people over at Eastern Peninsula, about this crisis, and more importantly, how it directly affects us here in Menifee. And I would just like to share that I've been getting a lot of information that concerns the water problem, as well as any further developments, not only here in Menifee, but there's problems in Wildomar and everywhere else, as far as can we really be assured that we're going to have a safe and reliable water supply projected out beyond 5 years, and nobody really knows. Eastern Municipal and Metro, the Metropolitan Water District, are now having to revisit their urban water management plans because this new mandate has come out, and there's going to be some more stringent requirements as this whole thing proceeds. But I just wanted to share the idea that we need to keep this in mind as we review these projects and other concerns, that the water issue here in Southern California is going to get really, really an ugly reality if we don't get any rain.
Thank you. If there's no other comments, we'll go have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
First, do we have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.